everyone. Welcome to the Lalantia Show. Today I'm really excited to come on here and talk about crystal grids. So I've recently started talking about crystal grids a little bit more on my social media posts. I have actually been making crystal grids for the past 6 or 7 years. And so I just want to give you a little bit of what they are, how they work, and how you may create them on your own. For those of you who don't know me already, my name is Lalantia. I'm a psychic realm channeler and healer, and I work with all of the magical beings, dragons, unicorns, mermaids, fairies, all of them. But I also am a crystal healer. So I work with crystals in my practice. I do healing with crystals. I use crystal, like the essence of crystals. I bring crystals into people's chakras when we do healings. Even distant healings and bringing that energy in. And it's a very, very powerful thing. So each and every crystal has its own energy signature, I guess we could say, because they each do specific things. So rose quartz is known for doing work like on the heart chakra around love and self-love and opening yourself up to love. And citrine is kind of known as like the manifesting crystal and creation energy. But every single one of them has this really powerful energy. Now, the other thing I want to say is some of you may be like, yeah, but they're not actually all crystals. They aren't. I'm using crystal as this term when really it is, they're not all technically crystals scientifically, but I am using this word because it is what people who are going to be interested in this video are going to resonate with most. And it's the easiest way to do it instead of being like this crystal or this rock or, just saying, one thing, keeping it to one thing and not switching between them is going to make it easier for people to understand. So technically they're not all a crystalline structure that we may be using for these things, but they all have energy. Everything has energy. So working with a crystal grid is just making a focused energy point that can expand this energy to focus on a specific intention. So when you create a grid, you create a grid around this intention that you are holding. So if you want to create a grid around self-love, something around, or just love in general. You can get as specific as you want or not. So if you want to create a grid around love, then you want to pick crystals that are kind of known for that kind of energy work. So you might want rose quartz, you might want chrysocolla, you might want green aventurine, malachite, those are just a few of them. There are so many that are for the heart chakra, and I'm getting ready to do a heart chakra workshop. So I have them right in front of me, but there's so many. So when you create a grid, you have this focused intention, you know what you kind of want it to do. And this can be kind of anything. Like I said, you can focus on self-love, you can focus on love in general or opening your heart. You can have a grid that's for manifesting something specifically, or you might have a grid that's just for manifesting in general and kind of listing all of the different things that you are manifesting. But whatever it is, you want to have an intention. And then you want to find the focused crystal. The one crystal is going to be in the center of this grid, and this is kind of the main point of it all. Now, this is a crystal that has the energy that you are working with. So if you're doing one on self-love, then you want to find the crystals that you have, for one, because a lot of people don't have a ton of crystals or a huge variety or multiples of the same crystal. Maybe you have a huge variety, but not multiples of the same crystal. So the crystal that goes in the center is one that you want to kind of be as large as possible. You have different choices and you work with what you have. There's not really a wrong way of doing it, but if you want it to be as powerful as possible, you kind of want the biggest crystal to go in the center. You can have one that's like a generator, like this. This is another generator. They come bigger, they come smaller, they come in all different sizes. You could also have a sphere. Now, the thing with generators is the energy is going to go up it and spread out. It's just going to amplify the energy of everything. Sphere kind of works the same way. The energy is going everywhere outside of it. It's kind of like points all over the whole thing, only there's not points. So the energy just kind of goes all over, like it just shoots out in all directions. Now, when you have a crystal like this, it's not gonna work quite the same way. It still works though. It's not like you can't create a grid because you don't have a sphere or a generator. But the main point is you want to find kind of the one that is the biggest and that you feel is going to work the best for the center. And then you're going to kind of figure out what crystals are going to go around it. So if you're doing one for self-love, maybe put rose quartz in the center, and then maybe you use green aventurine around the outside of it in a particular pattern. My sphere is wanting to roll away. So this is in sacred geometry, and I have some examples that I want to show you. I just want to make sure that my sphere doesn't roll away. So I have these crystal grid oracle cards, and I just want to use them as an example. So this is actually one that I had pulled for the energy of this week, and it has a crystal in the center. It has these crystals around the outside, and then it has this pattern around there, and then these ones kind of pointing in or out. So I tend to use, and of course that's the one I didn't grab, I use a lot of clear quartz in my grids. The clear quartz amplify everything. They just make everything so much stronger. They really focus that energy really powerfully to kind of shoot into that center crystal. I point mine in toward the center crystal. So I would have this in the center, then I would have clear quartz pointing at it. This would have, they all would be programmed, and I'll tell you about that in just a minute, so that they have that same intention. Now, you can get really creative with the shapes and sizes and intricacies, but one thing that you will see is that there are repeating crystals. So you want to have, generally you want to have multiples. So if you're doing, see how this one has, I think that's amethyst, oh, pink fluorite. So this one has pink fluorite, and then pink fluorite, and pink fluorite. At all of these points here, there's pink fluorite. So it's repeating. And another rule for creating a crystal grid is that you want to make sure that you don't use too many types of crystals. So generally it's around 3. You can do 4. Clear quartz is usually one of them. So then there would only be 3 others besides clear quartz. You want to make sure that you have crystals that work together. They are kind of like in harmony together, and that don't have like total opposite energy, because otherwise it's just going to make it a chaotic energy. Now, there's a lot of different things that I could go into regarding making a crystal grid, and that's going to be a lot longer than a 10-15 minute video. So I will tell you this: when you create the grid, you can have it up for as long as you want. Just make sure you give it a little bit of attention. You can place the grid anywhere in your house, but I like to have it somewhere where it's going to get some attention, where it's going to get seen. It's not just going to be hidden away in a corner and you forget about it. You can kind of forget about it, but you don't really want to. You want to keep giving it some like blasts of energy, right? And you don't want a grid next to your bed that is about, you know, having more energy because you need to sleep there. So if you're going to have a crystal grid next to your bed, you probably want it to be something that's, you know, a more peaceful, gentle energy. You probably wouldn't want a manifesting grid right next to your bed, because that's a more, especially if you're using citrine, because it's a more energizing crystal. The other thing that I like to do is I like to put my intention on a little piece of paper, and I stick it under the center crystal in the grid. So if I'm using a generator, I would put it under that. I also tend to sometimes use sacred geometry cloths. So I have like the flower of life on a cloth. I would create my grid on top of that, but underneath the cloth, I would put my intention. So I just state my intention, I put it under there, and then I'm able to just kind of leave it, but I'll come back to it and give it attention. Now, when you activate your crystal grid, there are so many different ways that people talk about activating it. Some people say you need to get, you know, a crystal point and you need to connect all of the crystals. If you feel called to do that, then that's how you are supposed to do it. There's not really any right way or wrong way. It is all about intention. So for me, I tend to usually, and sometimes this changes, sometimes I do feel called to connect all of my crystals together using a clear quartz crystal. But oftentimes I just feel called to place my hands over the grid and just hold my intention, kind of sending that intention through my hands. And this is just for visualization purposes. for me to feel as if I'm sending my intention through my hands onto the crystals and activating them, activating this grid to do whatever its purpose is. So if it's for self-love, then holding that vision and intention that it is going to help me to love and accept myself more deeply. And you can come back to this and check in with the energy, every day, every few days. You can meditate with it. You can go back and kind of place your hands over it and visualize what it feels like to really love and accept yourself, what it looks like when you really embody that energy, and keep bringing that energy in. Give it some attention in that way, especially for like a self-love grid, because it's such a part of you. It's about you. It's not about, manifesting something outside of yourself, although those kind of have their own little routine that you want to do. But this is something that you really want to make sure that you're bringing in as you do it. So that is everything, I guess, for today about crystal grids. I'm sure I could talk about way, way more, but that gives you kind of an overview. If you have any questions about anything that I talked about, let me know. And if I feel called, then I can do another video and explain a little bit more deeply. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.